Hello, everyone, and welcome to Create with Franz. Welcome to this amazing new episode where we will explore what it means to be truly self reliant. Now, we know that when we learn to become self reliant, which is a really interesting word, isn't it? It's something that could be financial, emotional, could be our health. And when we get it, we get this self respect, this dignity, this satisfaction, and the joy of sharing how we got there, and we share this with other people so they can get where we are. But sometimes, although a lot of people want to become reliant on their own experience and wisdom and everything, I see comments under these gurus words and say, well, yeah, it's easy for you because you know so many things. You have all these diplomas, or you speak so many languages, and you have success because you have this and that. But I don't have these skills. I can't get there. I cannot become self reliant. I'm stuck. So I see a lot of victim mode where we think you're stuck forever. And this can be true if you have a lot of poverty, disability, abuse in the house. You really have a lot of problems here. But I think that mindset can create a different way of looking at the situation. And if you keep thinking, I can't get anywhere, I'm not good enough, I don't have the skills, then you're just going to be stuck because you can't get started. For this reason, today we have in studio Dave Gulas, who is the person that will show you the exact steps that he has taken to go from zero, from scratch, to success. Bear in mind, his budget was zero. His skills in tech were zero. Did he have permission? Did he do courses? He said in his biography, zero. Still, he came out with a successful business, which is a show, which is called Beyond Fulfillment Podcast. And today, pretty much 300 episodes later, so I'm about 360, so we're there. His show is ranking in the top 1.5% globally. So, Dave, I'm just so glad to have you here. Thanks for coming to the show, and let's get going with this.
Okay, thank you so much, Franz, and I really appreciate the intro there. Yes, ready to go.
Ready to go. And in fact, I want to go straight to the juice because that is what my audience and my clients want to hear. And the juice is this. So, in your story, in your website, you talk about how people wait for a credential or a course before they actually get started to do something to change their life. And this, you say, it's a sneaky way of avoiding the fear of failure. We don't want to fail, I know. So you can call this trying to buy confidence. So why is confidence purchased from a course very fragile? And how does doing these messy and imperfect steps that you have taken in public actually build the kind of self-belief that no one can take from you?
Yes. Okay. So I believe confidence comes from action, right? From doing things, right? And action, it's like the old adage, action cures fear, right? Like do what you fear the most, and then that fear will die. So, um, way back when, right? So this is almost 3 years ago is when I started the podcast. And just to give context too, so I'm president and co-founder of a logistics company, right? And we started that just about 4 years ago. And so in the early days, right, it was challenging. I came from a different industry. I'm not really used to being the face of a company and what that entails as far as being out there posting content and having to really advertise where people come to you. And so in the early days, adjusting to that, it was very challenging for me. And what I found was that the best source of learning that I got was having these conversations with other entrepreneurs that were on the same journey, were further ahead of me. I would go to trade shows, I would be on networking calls, I would go to different events, that I would meet all these entrepreneurs, and talking to them and asking them questions really gave me so much knowledge, and hearing their stories and how they dealt with specific problems and what they went through, and etc. So one day, all of a sudden, the idea popped in my head, like, you should start a podcast. Because that way, if you're having these conversations, if you make the conversations public, the audience can get value from it. The guests will get exposure. It'll help you as well, your content, and trying to grow and get your business out there and all these things. It could truly be a win-win. So great, right? But except I knew absolutely nothing about podcasting. I had no experience. Like you said, I'm not used to the technical stuff, any of that, right? I like to talk to people, right? So I had that. And I've been in sales my whole adult life, right? So I did have those things going for me. So when I had that idea, at the time I was working with a small boutique marketing firm. I said, hey, I'd like to start a podcast. What do you think? And they said, wow, it's a great idea. We could actually get started really, very easily. You don't need a lot of equipment. We could do it over Zoom, and here's the steps. And they literally, we scheduled a call and they showed me how to, okay, you're going to go here, you're going to go to this setting. And they literally had me to walk me through kind of what it would be like to do an interview on Zoom. And so at the time, I said, cool, let's do it. So I said, let's come up with a name. We named it that day. I said, okay, great. How am I going to get guests? Okay, let's put something out on LinkedIn. Let's let people know it's coming. So again, I had no idea. I was so naive to so many things, but I knew that I had to take action on it, or the idea would just die. It would lose momentum. And so we just started doing it. Put a post out, hey, I'm starting a podcast. If you'd like to be on it, let me know. And I really hope you'll listen. And I got actually a really good response from my network about that. And a couple of people saying, hey, I'd love to be on your podcast. So as soon as I said that, I said, great, let's schedule a time and we'll record on. So I scheduled the first recording couple of weeks out before anything was set up, before anything was done. And it was almost like forcing me to do it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now, how do I do an interview? And what do I talk about? And right. So I set the interview and then I was backing into it about like, how are we going to do this? We got a little, like the logo, went through some iterations, but we got a logo, we got all this stuff. And I was like so nervous, but I was like, yeah, I've got to do this. And I did all this prep for the interview. Interview comes and it went great. I was really, really ultra prepared and I was so like locked in. I was so nervous, but I did it. And after the fact, it went smooth. The guest was like, wow, that was great. Really appreciate it. And you too, when you interview someone and they tell their story and they get it out there, there's like a bond between the host and the guest, right? And so everything went so well. And I was like, wow, I can really do this. That was like the first time. Right. And then so I was like, I gotta schedule the next one. So that's kind of that type of mentality is how we just kind of got it out there and got it going. And then the other thing too is like when people were I was telling people this was coming and I was doing this, numerous people said, listen, 90% of podcasters quit before episode 10. So just make sure you get to 10 episodes because most people quit. And then so as soon as I heard all that, I said, okay, I'm not going to buy any equipment. I'm not going to spend anything. And I said, I'm going to record 10 episodes. And then my reward after I record my first 10 episodes, I'll buy myself a mic. And then that was kind of like what I did in my head to like, just, keep pushing. And then, a couple episodes in, someone canceled and something else happened. And then I almost like didn't have enough episodes to release every week. So I went into overdrive. And then the salesman in me really came out and I just started asking over and over, you want to be in my podcast? You want to be in my podcast? And I just, I did that. And then, I was like, I got to have a surplus because I can't ever run out of episodes and not release every week. So I started doing that. And I think I put it in what I sent to you, but I tracked the numbers for a long time, like up until probably the whole first year, it was about a 5% acceptance rate in terms of actually getting an episode recorded. So to get a guest to actually record an episode, I had to, for every one episode I recorded, I had to ask 20 people. So a lot of people said no. A lot of people said, you're too small. They just, I don't do podcasts, whatever. But so for a long, long, long time, those were the ratios. And somehow, some way I kept going. I kept persisting and then really started to build momentum, develop more and more competence, figure things out as I went. I've been rambling for a while, but that's kind of how it all got started is just, and again, no qualifications, no real whatever, just a desire to do it, and I put the effort in.
Yes, thank you. That was such an inspiring story. And I think that's what happened in a way to me because in 2019, I was like, well, I was a DJ for 5 years and I really talked to people and enjoy. Perhaps I talk too much, but I did enjoy learning from the other people. What can we do? And I had just finished my qualifications as a hypnotherapist. I'm also an artist, a photographer, and I was a coach as well. And I wanted to talk about NLP. And my clients kept asking me all these questions. And I thought, you know what? We can put this all together, but I didn't know how. And so eventually, when I realized there are these things called podcasts, that is not quite YouTube and it's not quite that. So I did a course in 2019 with, I can't remember her name, Lindsay something, and it was all about podcasting. It's now become a boutique course. And after the course, I spent the entire year thinking, shall I do it or not? Because I was busy with clients, busy with life, running my life. And I kept asking my questions that you exactly said. Shall I do another course? Shall I do this? Am I good enough? I mean, with 5 years and I had like 1,000 hours online already. I didn't have to ask all these questions. And I was doubting myself. And in the end, I said, I just stopped this. So in 2020, during lockdown, when I had more time, I said, okay, let's go. And I did my first episode. And it was exactly in the end of July. And so I'm celebrating 6 years now. And after that first episode, I done 2 or 3 solos, audio only. And then eventually I said, well, it's going to have to be video. And eventually I get lots of friends, oh, can I be on your podcast? And it went from there and really was learning as I went. I didn't really go and read anything to go. And you learn about the equipment and how to get the guest and how to structure everything. And then literally about last year, I read a book that is all about how to start a podcast. I read written by a very good qualified person. And I said, oh, I can learn something here. I learned the entire book. There was nothing I didn't know already very, very well. And I learned it all, not through a book, but through experience. So what does that tell us? That experiential action is very important. I mean, you can't just improvise being a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, but we have to get started. We have to do this first step. And I think one thing that you outlined, David, is very important. That is the grit and keep going. And I think in our society, we are now obsessed with immediate results. We have plastic surgery instead of doing facial exercises. You know, we do lots of stuff to fix our body, our house, our profession, our relationship. They want immediate results. While actually, not every podcast will have 100,000 reviews or downloads in the first week. Not every job will be doing 6 figures, despite what people tell you. We want to learn how to switch this focus from the input to the output and say, what are we doing? What are we putting into this? And you talk about rejection. Rejection. I want to go a little bit deeper on this because we can get stopped at the 10th episode when we think things are not going too well, right? And our effort is now losing the momentum. And that's when we go up and then we fall. And that's when we stop being self-reliant because we're going to go back to the 95 job and we're not going to try hard. It's so hard. So how do you overcome this moment when we realize how tough it is and we might not get the success immediately? How do you overcome that? I think that's an important part of learning resilience as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny. And because to your point, right, there's plenty of times where I felt like, especially in the early times, like you're not very good, and no one's really listening. It feels so uncomfortable. You get like, you're like, man, this is a lot of work. It's a lot of time, a lot of, and even people say, wow, why you spend so much time on this? Why are you doing this? Like, why, is this, I mean, I'm sure you've heard that kind of thing too, but like inside, like, I knew, and I think what it was too is like when I say no one, it's like at a macro level, but like even like any positive response, I really tried to hold on and celebrate. Like even the interview, the guest after the interview was like, wow, that was a great interview. Thank you. I really appreciate that. When's that going to come out? Or even like one comment, like from someone that saw the episode was like, wow, I really like that. And I keyed in on the A, B, and C, this part of it. Right. And it's like, I really tried to like, because even when you create content like for your business, right? Like there's a saying, it's like you're not making content for everyone, you're making this for someone. Like who are you talking to? Who are you really trying to get this message across? It's not everyone. So again, if people don't like it, some people don't like it, well, it's not really for you, so that's okay. It doesn't mean it's not like a it's not anything personal. But I just always like when I started this and I knew I was going to do this, and I got to the 10, and then when I got to the 10 episodes, I bought a mic, and I was like, I had this nice new beautiful mic, and it sounded really good, and I was like, wow, I did it. And I wanted to keep going, right? And so you have those tough moments, you have challenges, but I always had it in my head like you just gotta do it, right? And I the other thing too is like I can't even tell you how much, because again, like this co-founder role, this face of the company role, this all these things I have to do with logistics business, it was so new to me based on like what other stuff I've done in my career. And so like the ability to talk to others that were on a similar journey or went through something else, or you know what I mean? Like I always gained so much from hearing someone's story. So like I didn't, and again, right? I think that's the best part of the podcast for me, is the relationships it's created and what I've learned from all these amazing people I've got to interview. So I guess it's not like like for me, I just knew I had to do it, and I got to keep going, and it was just something inside of me. A guest actually told me this because and I'm going off on tangents, I know, but like, so when you talked about imposter syndrome or something like that, in terms of like I'm not good enough, right? And I've interviewed some like crazy like successful people that have like, literally like made $100 million, lost it all, and then made it back, right? And it's just like no matter what level you're at as a human, like imposter syndrome happens to all of us. So it's not like, it's not just because you're new or you're starting out or you might be at a lower level in your business. It doesn't, like even some of the most successful people in the world, they have imposter syndrome too. It's just a natural part of being a human being. It's your survival mind trying to protect you and keep you safe and keep you comfortable. But it's like, you have to whatever works for you internally. Like so this guest, they told me whenever I feel that fear, like I'm scared, I don't want to do it, and I want to go be comfortable, I know that's a signal. I have to step on the gas. I have to tell myself go. I say in my mind go, and I just push through and I do it. And so I really took that too, because I've had numerous moments where I'm should I send this message? Should I post this content? And I always remember that it's like, like the fear starts coming in. It's like, no, fuck it, go. I got to go. And I go, right? So it's like whatever works for you. But I've found that that's a really effective technique to push through that.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that is a big aspect of mindset, because we want something, but we have to want it strongly enough that the pain of trying a new thing is not as strong that it will stop us from the pain of being frustrated and bored and in trouble in the current situation. As Tony Robbins always say, we won't change until we realize that if we don't change, it's going to be more painful to stay as we are. So if we are trying to become self-reliant by getting a new job, by changing our career within the same company, by learning a new skill, these fears will come. That's part of a normal part of living. Everything new is a danger to us. It's a lion coming to attack us. We have to tackle this as it is. It's a thought. It's not a reality. It's a thought. And we can give it as much weight as we want. Then we say, but I really want to do that. And then we move forward. And there are ways that you tackle this. So there are steps that you take. And I know I ask everyone to give me 3 tips so that the person that has listened to the podcast says, "Do you know what? Actually, with these 3 tips, I can get started this week." So, what would you like to share to our audience so they can? I'm not saying they're all going to be podcasters. That's fine. We have 4.5 million podcasts in the world. Yeah, you're in the top 125. I'm in the top 20, and in listen notes. And
Okay.
that means nothing. What it means to me is that I can reach somebody in the world and help them to go from A to B in the particular mindset topic. And that is my fulfillment. So success is different from other people. So if we stop measuring all this success in downloads, reviews, sponsors, money that we make, there are people that are very successful in their job but not earning $100,000 a year. So how we measure success can impact our anxiety about it. Let's go through the tips because I know you've really well prepared. What would you like our audience to take home today?
Okay. Well, so first and okay, so you said 3 tips. I'll give you these 3. Number 1, so whatever the goal is, the end goal, like okay, let's just say starting a podcast, right? And there's all these different aspects of it, but break it down. Like really break it down into small steps. Because you mentioned Tony Robbins. One of the quotes from him that always stuck out to me, because I've listened to a lot of his stuff, is progress equals happiness, right? He says that a lot. Like in your mind, like even if you're not where you want to be, if you know you're making progress towards that goal, that generates, satisfaction and happiness and gives you, a good feeling that it's much easier to keep going. So like break it down into small steps and do something, like do what you can where you are with what you have today, like right now, like do something, right? And just start. And again, right? Once you get that done, then what's the next logical thing to do? Like just do, and just whatever you do, start, make some sort of progress and get that positive momentum to keep going. Um, and then number 2, like you mentioned, right, the outputs and the results and all that. Like, of course, you wanna track that, and it's cool to see as those things start to accumulate and develop. But it's much more important to focus on the inputs, like the effort, rather than the result. Like, what did you do? Okay, I recorded 5 episodes this week, the whatever period of time, this week or this 2 weeks or whatever, or I did A, B, and C, or I messaged X amount of people about being on my show, right? Like for me, I didn't I didn't have a certain number, but like for instance, I was very diligent about dedicating a certain amount of time, even if it's only like 30 minutes, right, in a given day, to I'm going to spend this 30 minutes doing outreach to get new guests for my podcast, right? And just like, okay. And then regardless, even if they all said no, the fact that I had the courage to even reach out to them and to, and then again, I had to refine my messaging. Like in the beginning, like this, I noticed certain things started to work. So I refined the message and I stuck with that. But like just making the efforts and the tracking that much more than the downloads or the reviews or the listens or the whatever money or, but just, inputs over out, results, right? The actual effort that you make, tracking that. And yeah, then number 3 is just doing something every single day, right? To continue to keep once you get started and you get some positive momentum, just don't ever stop and continue to, figure it out as you go, adjust, iterate, pivot if you need to, whatever it happens to be, and take the feedback that you're getting and adjust, but keep going. But you can apply that to anything that you're doing. And you know, like you mentioned at the beginning, people say, "Oh, it's easy for you to say, Mister, whoever it is that has all this success." Like, how do you think they got there? Like, if you really listen to their story, like, no, everybody starts at zero at some point in their life. Everybody was a beginner, and all these people that you see that have the success and the notoriety and all that, and I mean, that like the people I've talked to, I mean, it's incredible hearing some of these stories and what people went through. And I hear that, I was like, man, how'd you keep going? And sometimes they're like, I don't know. But it's just like years and years and years of struggle, and then they really see a big, a big positive trajectory. So um, I'm rambling again, but those I gave you my three tips in there.
Okay. So it's not rambling, it's like a normal conversation. So if you were sitting with a friend, that's exactly what you would say. And I'm all for very unscripted episodes. I want people to just be sitting on a sofa talking with us and asking, how did you do this? And it's not that I'm making a podcast to be rich or famous. I'm making a podcast because I have a message and I have a mission to help people to achieve XYZ. And so you might start a business because you want people to have an amazing skin or to fix their feet or to fix their pet problem. It doesn't matter. If you have a mission and you are focused and you keep going and learning from your mistakes, you will get there. The important thing is to get started. I want to make sure that everyone knows that this applies to a 10-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 90-year-old. We can learn all our life without even trying. We are learning from everything. And so when I see all these courses and offers, they say, do this in you're gonna be amazing in 10 days. It's only a course, just give us this money and I'll teach you all the tricks. And you'll be amazing and brilliant. You're gonna do six figures and all. And I'm like, is it possible? Because most people, like Tony Robbins, they didn't have all this. They literally stopped people on the road and said, how do you fix this problem? And then they started. So they built this in a long while. So effort, I think, is a big thing that you're showing us, Dave. The effort, being consistent, and don't just sit back if there is something not going. You don't just like, but you can just see what works and what doesn't work. So good feedback is useful. And what I like is also your sense of mission, because you could have said, you know what, I'm just gonna get all this knowledge, write a book, and that's it. But you actually keep sharing updated knowledge, which in the world today, which is changing all the time, that's invaluable. So if I wanted to share a last message to a person that is just sitting on the fence, taking the step, but not taking the step, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I just like if you have the desire to do something and what's the word I'm looking for? Like the impulse and the inspiration, right? Like that comes from somewhere. That don't just discount that. And like I see it so many times, and you wouldn't believe the number of people that have said, wow, it's amazing what you've done. I wanted to start a podcast, but and then whatever, right? I couldn't do this or I didn't do that, or that, they always have like some whatever excuse or something. Like again, like just start and get in motion and see what happens and talk to
Mhm.
people. But like the last thing you should do is let fear hold you back from even making effort, because like when I started, I kind of had no, like I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew is I was doing it, and I didn't know where it was going to take me or what it was going to turn into or any of this. But like now looking back, I was just like, wow, it's just incredible the amount of relationships and what I've learned and what it's done for me. And so like we all have different gifts, talents, abilities, and we're all here for a reason. And I would just say use those, use what you have, your gifts that you're meant to share with the world, and just start and do it. And don't let definitely don't let fear hold you back, right? Because we all have that, but you have to, again, action will cure it. So my message would just get into motion, take some sort of action, however small, and keep going. And you'll be amazed at what that can turn into.
Amazing. Well, thanks, Dave. It has been eye opening, and I'm hoping that all of you guys will want to share this episode with yourself and with some friends. Maybe watch it twice and take notes, because these seem to be, oh, yeah, I know all this, but But if you read it again or listen again and really consolidate, what is stopping me from taking my next step in getting and creating the life that I want, the business I want, the relationship I want? We're not just talking about podcasting, but about life here. You have to keep going and keep fighting. And in this moment of uncertainty we had in the world, it's important that we have a certainty of what we want, what is our mission, and how we're going to get there. I'm sure that there will be heavily help, and our friends, maybe our family, will want to support us. Maybe people online will want to support us. There is always somebody who wants to be part of that journey. And that, I think, is a blessing because we share this. We're not an island, right? We connect. And I love this connection and networking. So I want to thank you so much, Dave. And thank you all. And I'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Franz.